Mr. Naidoo, thank you for sitting down with us. Thank you for your time. Real pleasure engaging you. Let's start with how is it your first time at Masifunde or?
No. So Masifunde is an old friend of ours. Nice. We've worked with Masifunde for a long time. Before this building was here, we worked with him for a long time. And we also collaborated with him to fix the Warmer Primary School.
Great.
Some time ago.
Great.
And they have a loan vehicle from us. It's a 23-seater bus which transports all the young people to school and back. Yeah.
Very nice. I've got a few questions that I'd like to ask you. I'd like to get your insights on a few things.
Yes.
I want to start with this one. How can nonprofits secure sustainable funding and diversify their income streams in a challenging financial landscape? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think the first one is, of course, for NGOs is to collaborate, because a lot of NGOs ask for exactly the same thing in the same area. So I think that's the key for us as well. And I think the old system of just sending our proposals to people, hoping that it will reach something, it doesn't work necessarily. I think you also need to find out from the companies, what do they fund?
Yeah.
And the most important thing is that your proposal should be written properly. So often we find proposals with incorrect cell numbers, or the cell phone numbers no longer exist, postal address no longer exists, and the email address no longer exists.
Oh, no.
So we can't respond, or we can't ask questions, because we need to ask questions before we take it to the committee for funding. So I think that's a key. And the other one is sort of doing something similar to what's being done at Masifunde. Yeah. It is to have a bit of diversified program where you involve community in it, create entrepreneurs or welcome entrepreneurs to do work. So that creates sort of a sustainability factor. And a lot of companies see that as a positive, that you are doing something else as well, not just waiting for money to come in. And lastly, I want to just say is that for the funding, for the use of the funding, they should be able to use up to, say, 20% of the money that they receive for administration and the rest onto the project. But some NGOs use 10% of the money for projects and 90% for administration, which we also look at when we evaluate their programs.
Oh, that's very interesting. What would be the one key one out of all of these that you've mentioned? What would be, if you had to pick one main thing, what would it be?
I think when you do your proposal, ensure that it's done correctly and excellently. It must be excellent. So I think for me that's the key, and also make sure that you are sending the correct proposal to Volkswagen and not to Toyota, because I often get proposals says, "Dear Toyota." So that's key.
What I like about you saying is finding out actually what that organization funds before you send the proposal. I think that's a good point.
Yes.
Right? What practical advice do you have for non-profits to increase their impact and effectiveness?
So to increase the impact, I mentioned collaboration earlier. If that's the one I can focus on. But NGOs, they don't like to work together.
Really? Is that
because I feel that maybe you'll steal my funder, But companies love NGOs to work together. They find that funding collaboratively is great. in a sense, you know. So I think for me that would be the one that would stand out to say, how can we work together, like what Jonas has done here today?
Yeah.
You know, to say, hey, can we come together and see how we can actually network and see how we can work in the space of the NGO world and see how we can leverage support from each other as well. So I think that's key for me.
That's a nice one.
Yes.
What key focus areas should nonprofits prioritize to drive real and lasting change?
You know, the moment everybody funds education, and I think there's a lot of money out there for education. And sometimes a lot of people are doing exactly the same thing in education. So in NGOs, you find there's a lot of buzzwords. So if the buzzword is ECD, early childhood development, everybody runs because the funding goes there. At the moment, there's a huge, the buzzword at the moment is actually people looking for jobs and work readiness programs. That
Job
is, so
placement,
job
all of it,
placements,
yeah.
you know. So sort of a lot of people are focusing on that.
Is that a good thing or not?
No, for us it's a good thing. You know, if you look at the youth in South Africa, they are 60% unemployed. If you look at Ghana and the rest of Africa, they 60% employed, entrepreneurs actually. You know, so they make things work. And I think it's great if we can get that sense of entitlement out of young people to say, hey, listen,
that's a big one,
you know,
in fact.
let us do something for ourselves. So I think it's great that organizations focus on that as well. And the other one is there's a forgotten group, two groups of people. The one is the children that are maybe challenged in many ways, physically, mentally, socially. And the other one is old age people that are living in old age homes. Often they're also forgotten, and people don't really want to fund those type of organizations or help them, you know. So they really get the scraps at the end of the day, you know. So
I like how you mentioned getting entitlement out of young people. You know, I immediately, to my mind, got the question of actually how do you do that? How do you get our communities? You know, one thing, what would you say? How can we get people to be less entitled and to be more innovative? And I don't know what the right word is, but to just get up and do things for themselves.
yes.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's a big one. We often deal with the Department of Education, and we say maybe that is a course that they can do at the school.
I like that.
You know, because that sense of entitlement really carries on throughout life, right? So, hey, I'm entitled to the 350 when I leave matric. I'm entitled to the next thing and the next. And that sense is quite negative for our economy. So I first of think, and there are a lot of NGOs that are currently doing life skills training based around that. And when they do work readiness program, that's the first thing they talk about, is that sense of entitlement as well. So I think those are the two things that I would mention, that NGOs can focus on that. And in school, we should focus on that in our life orientation. I was talking to the district director the other day and say, why do you still teach people
Mr.
how to write?
Gorgonzola.
Yes, Mr. Gorgonzola. Why do you still teach them to write checks? When last have you used a check?
10 years ago.
But my son was at school, finished last year, and they were still doing checks. And I said, no, man,
That's not good.
this is what we need to talk about, you know, the sense of myself, a portrait of self, you know, the positivity and that sense of entitlement. Why I don't need that. I can actually make things work for myself.
Reform of the curriculum.
Also of the mind.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. That's very nice. Why is a strong and well-functioning non-profit sector essential for South Africa's development?
You know, I always say this, without non-profits in South Africa will actually fall flat. And that's the reality of it. So there are over 300,000 NGOs in South Africa. Some registered, a lot of them not registered. And that's besides the go-go's that are doing a lot of good work in the community and the sisters at the church, etc. You know, but we, and this is what I think Jonas is attempting today, is to say, can we just look at how we run this NGO? Because most people run it with passion, but that's not good enough for a corporate when you apply for funding. You actually need to get your systems in place.
Yes.
And I think that's key.
No, excellent. No, thank you for your time. All the
Thank
best
you
for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.